Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadijah. Uh, Before I get to my story that I just wanted to get into, that I'm sure all of y'all know about, or felt this before the news came out today. It's like I don't know who they think they playing with, right? Um, but then again, some people just don't think. Even going into all of this, the capturing of the ISIS, it's in my opinion, so much of this stuff is theater that it's hard for me to really take some of it seriously. Um, it amazes me that you know how the tables can turn so quickly when the crown and the powers that be really want to change the face of things. They got the media at their control because it's like only about 20, I think it's, what is it, 8 people that own 26 outlets or something. It's all monopoly. It's a monopoly game, right? You want to buy up everything on the board so you can control the mindset. And he who controls the prince pretty much controls your mind, So, and if you can't come from up under that dogma, your life can be very difficult. Trust me, you gotta learn to get from up under the dogma. I did. I had to, because the religious dogma is the number one psychosis tool that the enemy uses, and then misinformation. So you got those two. Just those two is a recipe for freaking disaster, right there in a nutshell. You know, so you know, religion and misinformation. So I'm saying this to say, a lot of us knew this was gonna come down the pipe. We was just a matter of time. I'm gonna get to it real quickly because I know we don't got a lot of time, and I gotta get on to another video, and I want to get a couple of them out today. In 50 years, I've not seen such injuries in a suicidal hanging. Jeffrey Epstein's body bore signs of homicide by strangulation, not suicide, claims the pathologist who has examined 20,000 bodies and worked on O.J. Simpson and the Phil Spector cases. Millionaire sex offender Jerry Epstein's body bore telltale signs of homicide by strangulation and not suicide, according to a leading forensic pathologist. In a bombshell interview with Fox and Friends, Dr. Michael Baden shared his conclusions about the suspicious nature of Epstein's death after the financier was discovered dead in his jail cell on August 10th. The former New York City medical examiner, who was hired by Epstein's brother and present at the autopsy, shared that the findings are more consistent with homicidal strangulation. Baden describes how the 66-year-old fancier had two fractures on the left side and the right side of his larynx and around the Adam's apple. Epstein also had a fracture on the left hyoid bone that is above the Adam's apple, Baden explained. Those three fractures are extremely unusual in a suicidal hanging and could occur in a much more commonly homicidal strangulation. Baden, who has worked on cases involving O.J. Simpson, President John Kennedy, and Phil Spector, Aaron Hernandez, and more, said the fractures were rare. I don't think there's anybody that's really too surprised with that, given all the information that this guy knew about everybody and their sexual escapades. The 85-year-old forensic pioneer added, I've not seen in 50 years where that occurred in a suicidal hanging. Baden has had an extensive career examining more than 20,000 bodies. He even hosted HBO's Autopsy. The pathologist's findings are at odds with New York City's medical examiner Barbara Sampson's ruling that Epstein died from suicide from a hanging. Yeah. So you got two coroners conflicting in their approach to this body, right? Wow. Yeah. It appears that this could have been a mistake, Baden said. There's evidence here of homicide that should be investigated to see if it is or if it isn't homicide. Baden described that a person weighing 120 pounds with the head weight of 10 pounds would have 110 pounds of pressure on their neck at the jaw during a hanging. However, the pathologist describes that double or triple the pressure could be applied to the neck of a person if there was a squeeze. He added that there were also hemorrhages in Epstein's eyes that were consistent with homicide strangulation, yet uncommon but not unheard of now in strangulation cases. Baden said that the prominent hemorrhage in the soft tissue of the neck to the fractures is evidence of a fresh neck compression that could have been caused in the death. The pathologist asserted that a conclusion could not be reached until the independent study was completed. The investigation is not completed until all the information has come in, he said. The sheet that had been twisted and used as the ligature placed around Epstein's neck was there also. Baden said that evidence on the cloth may provide insight into the details surrounding the sex offender's death at the Metropolitan Correction Facility. Whoever it is, it would have their DNA all over the literature, he said. Ligature. It would have the DNA all over. We don't have those results yet. Baden also declared that the results should be reported quickly to give an idea and lessen the speculation. Baden noted that Epstein had been placed on suicide watch after he was found on the floor of his prison cell July 23rd with marks around his neck. After being taken off suicide watch, he was placed in a cell with a roommate who was eventually removed. On the day of his death, Baden described that there was a total breakdown in the procedure by experienced prison security. It was determined that the two guards who were supposed to be working in that area of the prison had allegedly fallen asleep and hadn't made their 30-minute rounds for more than 3 hours, the pathologist explained. Security cameras in the facility were also compromised. Baden shared that Epstein's brother and family wanted answers, prompting his hiring. He added that if the death was a homicide, he and others may be at risk because of somebody's not wanting knowledge given out. The forensic mainstay described Epstein's death as not a typical hanging case. Questions remain as to why the high-profile pedophile was taken off suicide watch so soon after that attempt, and why he was not being properly monitored by the MCC employees at the time of his death. His death prompted outrage and disbelief over how such high-profile prisoner, known for socializing with powerful people, including Presidents Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, could have been left without surveillance at the federal facility. Epstein was waiting sex trafficking charges. Y'all tell me what you think about that. Leave your comments below and like the video, subscribe, and share it, and I'll see you in the next one.